I'm back again with my second video. As I said in the last one, the only camera I have to record with is the one on my computer, so if you can't see things extremely well, that would be why. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my tools. Unfortunately, most of my tools and my books have been packed. My family is getting ready to move, and so in preparation for that, we've been packing, and nearly all of my tools, all of my hard copy books, I still have a few on my Kindle, but all of my hard copy books have been packed away. But I do have a few things to talk to you about. I want to show you my tarot deck. Now, my tarot deck is the Art Nouveau, this little white book, Art Nouveau Tarot Deck. For some reason it wants to show you backwards. But it's by Matt Myers, and this came out in 1989. And I purchased it in the early to mid 90s, like 92 to 94, somewhere in there. Now, my tools, because I don't have a lot of money, when I say I do things on a budget, that generally means that when I do spend money for tools or something, I try and make sure I can get as much out of them, they can fulfill as many purposes as possible. So this is the deck. As I said, it wants to show it backwards for some unknown reason, but this is basically the cover card. This is what the backs look like. So you can see that they're completely reversible if you do reversals. It also has, this is a cover card for the back, which is a self-portrait, if I'm remembering correctly, of the artist. So here we have the Fool. This is, let me see if I can turn this so there's not so much glare on it. The Magician. The Priestess. The Empress. The Emperor. The Priest. This is the Lovers. The Chariot. This is Justice. The Hermit. The Wheel. Strength. Sorry, I've got like cat hair on me. There's cats shed something terrible. This is Strength. This is the Hanged Man. This is the Death card. Temperance. The Devil. This is the Tower. The Star. The Moon. The Sun. Judgment. The World. Now we get into the minors. This is the Ace of Coins. The 2. The 3. The 4. The 5. The 6. The 7. The 8. The 9. And the 10. I'm going to take the court cards out and we'll cover those later. This deck has the wands as air. So there is the ace. And you can see it's got the birds through here. So there's the ace. 2. 3. 4. 5. 6. 7. 8. The 9. And the 10. And we'll pull out the this. Okay. Swords is represented with fire in this deck. So here is the ace, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, the 10. It's not a happy suit, not at all. And then we get into cups. There's the ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the 9, and the 10. Now, I mentioned that I try and get my tools to do many different things for me. I have used tarot in spell work. I have a book, I believe it's called Tarot Spells, and I think the author's name is Janina Renee, I think. But this is your Page of Cups. This is the Knight. This is the Queen. And this is King. What I have done is I photocopied out the King and Queen cards for each suit. And I ran them off on cardstock and I trimmed them down. And I got some little easel style photo frames. Just the cheapy plastic ones that you find at the dollar store. And I will take the copies that I made, and these will become goddess and god figures on my altar. And I change them out with the seasons. So for fall, it would be these two. This is Page of Swords. There is the Knight. This is, let's see if I turn her here, the Queen, which kind of reminds me a little bit of a Liz Taylor. And there is the King. So the King and Queen would be my goddess and god figures during the summer. Because I can't afford to buy statuary or artwork, so I am making do with these. Okay, and this is for the staves. You've got your page, you've got your knight, and your king and queen. So these would be my altar figures for the spring. And you have your page of coins, your knight of coins, and your king and queen of coins. And they would be on the altar for the winter. Also, I made photocopies of certain major arcana cards. Let me pull them up here and explain what I use them for. Okay. I have used the copy of this one on the altar as the goddess figure during moon rituals. And I've used this as a god figure during some of the Sabbats. For something like Beltane, I might use this one. For the light half of the year, I use these as my goddess and god figures. And for the dark half of the year, because they're older, I use these. So that's what I mean about having them doing double duty. Now, this is not the first deck of tarot cards that I've owned. This is actually my second deck. The first deck, I was very new to witchcraft and was reading all the books that I could get my hands on and found reference to tarot cards. And, well, it's witchy, so I have to have it. So I went out, I have to get myself a tarot deck. I didn't know anything about them. I didn't really know that much about there being a lot of different ones. And I went to a bookstore. They only had one tarot deck, and it was the Aquarian tarot deck. I didn't really connect with it when I got it home. The cards were bigger. If you've noticed, these are small cards. I don't have terribly large hands. I've got somewhat short, stubby fingers, and I do have a bit of arthritis in my hands. It runs in my family. So a deck that's easier for me to handle is one that's smaller. So it was rather large in my hand, and it was uncomfortable to shuffle. I think that was part of my problem. Part of it was the images. The Aquarian deck, the faces looked like they were done in pencil sketch, but the rest of the card was in color. And those two discrepancies, where the faces are one thing and the cards are another for the whole rest of it, I got this weird aesthetic thing. OCD, Virgo, hard to say, but it's there nonetheless. I like things very symmetrical. I like things that follow one to the other. It's a thing. But so a friend of mine actually had this deck, and she let me try shuffling with it, do a few readings with it, look at the cards, and I really liked it. It appealed to me a lot, and so I bought it. And then I gifted the deck that I started with someone else. I'm sorry, I've got such an itchy nose. Cat hair. It's all over. We have 4 cats. You met one of them the other day. But this is the book it came with, the little obligatory white book. It's not very large, as you can see. The print is teensy tiny. And this was the only tarot book I had for a very long time. Most of my witchy books that I had, they were your basic beginner ones, and they were just mentioning tarot and sort of a little brief overview of them. So every time I was reading my tarot cards, this was the book I used. So the problem that I have now is I have gotten tarot books, and they are of 2 schools. Either they show you the Rider-Waite-Smith deck and expect that you have that one or one of its clones, and they interpret the cards that way based on those symbols, or they tell you, use your intuition, drop back 10 yards and punt, and you will be right. I'm kind of a person where when I read the book, that's what I learn. Don't tell me, make it up as you go along. Not when I'm first learning something. And, but that is my tarot deck. That is what I use it for. As I said, I have used some of the cards in spells. I use some of them as altar figures. And that's pretty much, we're just starting to learn, to really learn tarot. So, fingers crossed that I'll be able to figure it out with this deck until I can get another one that follows the Rider-Waite-Smith a little more closely, so that I can learn what I'm really doing, and then I can come back to this and start to extrapolate from one deck to this deck. What do they mean? I will be back in just a few minutes in another video, and I will show you some of the other things that I have saved up. See you in a few.